Hello, scholars ng bayan. Good day, future elementary educators. I hope you enjoyed our video lecture on teaching methods in teaching biology and chemistry for primary grades. And that, of course, you got some insights on how you are going to deliver your lesson, or how are you going to follow the different methods that you can employ in your teaching of science lessons in the classroom. So just a review, we discuss about concept attainment. We also talk about discovery method, and there were actually two types of discovery methods. The method that we discussed, and that was pre-discovery method and the guided discovery method. Of course, we also talked about inductive method as a very powerful method to teach concepts in science, and then the inquiry method, experimental method, and problem solving method. So from the methods that we discuss in teaching science, we're now going to move on to different strategies that we can employ for us to be able to achieve our learning target. So let me just prepare my slide presentation for a while. All right. So my presentation in this video lecture is about the strategies in teaching biology and chemistry in primary grade. So last meeting we discussed about method, and might be that you are thinking about the difference between a method and a strategy, because these two concepts can interchange. But allow me to explain the difference by using a journey plan analogy. And here is it. All right. So by the way, this journey plan analogy is also presenting the difference of the strategy, method, and technique in, of course, teaching biology or teaching science, or teaching any lessons. But in this particular discussion, we are adopting the context of science teaching. So, on the other side, you will see there the teaching context, and in the other side, you will see the journey plan analogy. So let me start with the strategy. All right. So take note that whenever we strategize, we begin with the end in mind. And that when we speak of strategy in teaching context, we're actually particular of the strategic plan of action or design to achieve the overall learning aims or outcomes. So when we are going to compare it with or when we are going to look at it in the journey plan analogy, there's a question that we need to answer, and that is, where is your arrival point? And in the context of science teaching, our destination is actually our learning outcome. Because everything that we do in the classroom has to be aligned with the learning outcome so that we can get there. And the plan of action, the strategies that we're going to employ in order for us to go to our destination, is supposed to be anchored to the learning outcomes. It's supposed to be anchored on the learning aims. It's supposed to be anchored on the learning targets. Now, on the other hand, we look at the method. And as we learned in the previous discussion, a method is actually the way of doing things in an orderly, logical arrangement. So the method usually follows steps, and we discussed that in our previous video lecture, that it's a step-by-step process that we're going to do so that we can get to our destination. And of course, in the journey plan analogy that we're thinking of, it's actually the mode of travel. And we are going to answer the question, how will you get there? So it's the procedure, it's the process. These are steps that we are going to follow so that we will be able to reach our destination. So I hope that method or the distinction of method and strategy is clearer now to you. But as we go along the way, we'll be able to discover later on the different distinctions of method and strategy. Now, for this video lecture, I categorize the teaching strategies into five categories. And these are practical strategies, strategies which focus on analyzing information, technology and process focus strategies, social and environmental awareness focus strategies, and of course, social and environmental yeah. I think the other one is innovative strategies, not social and environmental awareness focused strategies. All right. Now, let's begin with the practical strategies. Practical strategy. So if you look at the slide presentation, there are 2, 4, 6, 7 practical strategies, I mean, that I listed. So these are experimental design, use of models, laboratory activities, programmed instruction, which involves the use of kits and apparatuses, and practical sessions, skill practice session, and trials. So let me start with experiments or experimental design. In science class, we always think of facilitating experiments. And of course, our students in the science class are very excited whenever the teacher will say, we are going to have an experiment today. So let me share to you an example of an experiment. So this experiment is about how to make sherbet so that we can discuss the acid-base reaction, particularly in the mouth. And this is a chemistry lesson. So how are we going to do this in an experimental design strategy? Oh, to do this, of course, we need materials. And what are the materials that we need for this? Of course, we need icing sugar, citric acid, bicarbonate soda, flavored jelly crystals, teaspoons, a dessert spoon, small mixing bowl, small snop lock ball. So how are we going to facilitate this? We of course instruct our students to add one level teaspoon of citric acid crystals to the bowl. Then also tell them that they need to add one level teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda to the bowl. And now they're going to add heaped dessert spoons of icing sugar, and add at least 2 dessert spoons of jelly crystals or more to taste. And of course, the teacher has to be asking the students to place a small amount, about a half a teaspoon, on their tongue. And after tasting, they may need to vary the ingredients. So if it's too bitter, they need to add more sugar. But if there isn't enough, feed that they may need to add either bicarbonate soda or citric acid. They have to, our teacher has have to make sure that the students will add only small amounts, because you have to remind them that they can always add more, but it's very difficult to remove some. So what's happening to the mouth? So you have to explain to the children that they have created acid-base reaction in their mouth. And uh, this is probably because when somebody combines an acid and an alkaline with saliva, they mix together to create a gas in the form of lots of tiny bubbles. So you can explain after they do the experiments. So that's how we do experimental design to discuss about acid-base reaction. So let's move on to use of models. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's move on to laboratory activities first. So here we ask the kids to go to the laboratory to do an experiment. Like if you notice in the picture, the child is actually looking at uh, the micro of that leaf that they place in the microscope. And that laboratory activity can be fun and joyful among your students. Now, here's the next one. It's the use of model. So there's a model here of what is inside our body. And that, of course, teacher can probably show it to the kids to show the internal organs of the body, like the liver uh, there. So models can be used to explain or whenever you are discussing some of the internal organs in the body, you can use model so that children uh, will be more hooked to what you are presenting to them because they see almost the real thing that is present, or this they can visualize what is inside their body. So not only that, you can use other models in teaching science. Now, what else? Now, take note that practical strategies could also be programmed instruction, which involves the use of kits and apparatuses. Now, let me tell you a history about program instruction. So, class, the program instruction movement was actually developed by an American psychologist, B.F. Skinner. And that was during the 1950s. And this program instruction was modeled after the scientific method and arose a response to teacher shortages and to increasing student population. So it automates instruction through breaking up curriculum into small, self-contained, manageable frames that are then logically sequenced in a systematic manner and presented through technological devices. So ultimately, the goal of program instruction is to control learning through measuring observable outcomes and through devising precise methodologies of teaching that are guaranteed to work. So program instruction has been extinguished as a movement, but its influences form the foundation for more or for much of modern education. So we need in this program instruction systematization of instruction to codified objectives, evaluation methods, especially through standardized teaching and techniques of teaching that emphasize the back to the basics. Step-by-step approach are, for example, some of the ways in which program instruction influence the educational field as it is understood in the present. All right. So for short, a program instruction is actually a progressively monitored, what calls that, step-by-step teaching strategy, employing small units of information or learning material and frequent testing, whereby student must complete or pass one stage before moving on to the next. So the next in the list is actually practical sessions. And take note that in the science class, practical science activities play a critical role in the educative process. So we engage the students, assisting them in developing critical abilities, comprehending the scientific processes, and acquiring a wide comprehension of scientific subjects. So the ultimate goal should be to improve the quality, quantity, and range of practical science activity conducted in the classroom. And if the range of experiments and abilities tested at the moment is too small, it makes more sense to expand the range rather than switching to a new evaluation system that may favor a more hands-off textbook approach. So, according to Joyce in 2009, learning and practicing involve observational or observable behaviors that explicitly explain the behavior. So, this is a behaviorist principle from Thorndike. And through the drill, because I listed there the drill and skill practice. So, of course, through the drill and practice, Students acquire a favorable attitude towards science, and students will have learning objective that will assist them in planning and designing metacognitive guidelines for their thinking and learning processes. So this behavioral paradigm enables behavior modification in the science classroom through the use of what calls them drill and practice. So learners gain group management skills such as trust building, leadership and decision making through group debate and collaboration. Group instruction enables students to work together and motivates them to learn. In addition, Luke demonstrated in 2007 in her research that the drill and practice approach of teaching entailed straightforward pair associate learning to solve problems. So it's a solution building. And Yaha and Pang in 2010 also stressed the repetition of data or the efficiency required by identifying, drilling, and practice methods. The goal of this drill and practice approach or strategy is to ensure that students obtain high level of mastery in their talents while also assuring their longevity. Frequent exercise teaches the pupil to employ a technique of unthinking repetition and to retain what they have studied. That was according to Mohan and Balan in 2005. And while Mohan and Balan in 2005 employed mind maps in the research, they also used drill and practice to help students become aware of changes in their learning methods. So those are some of the practical strategies that we can use in teaching science. All right. So let's proceed to strategies which focus on analyzing information. So we have role playing. So that's the first one. If you try to look at the sample there, that's a role play of veterinary care of sick animals, and this could be done for grade 3 or 4 pupils. And there's another one. It's a role play of the veterinary operation. So this is an example of the consequence mapping that I also listed. So consequence mapping could be a strategy that you can use so that students will be able to analyze the information that they are giving to them. So if you try to look at the template of the consequence mapping, you are really to look at what are the primary consequences, the secondary consequences, and tertiary consequences. So this can be used in, of course, looking at the consequences of particular things that you are going to do, especially actions that involve science. So, like, say, for instance, what could be the consequence of illegal logging? What could be the consequence of dynamite fishing? And of course, discussion and debate. I think you are familiar with it. In the discussion, you have to maybe form a group in the class to discuss about a certain topic. But in the debate, you are going to form two groups, and every group has a position about a certain issue or topic in science. Then comparative analysis. So one what you call this one one a template that you can use is a Venn diagram, but you can also make use of the fishbone map to compare, and of course sometimes you contrast two concepts that are actually most likely related, and that you have difficulty of distinguishing which one is has this characteristic and has this characteristic. So you can be helped by the Venn diagram and the fishbone map. So here's an example of a Venn diagram. So we look at the similarities and differences. So this is a Venn diagram of tomato and apple. So at the middle, these are their similarities, and on the two sides, these are the distinct qualities or characteristics of the fruits. Now, of course, there's this technology and process focused strategies, and what we do is in science is we facilitate science investigatory projects. So this follows an inquiry method. So in this strategy, you as a teacher has to be facilitating the um, problem identification, because in developing investigatory project, you have to identify the problem that particular intervention or design can solve. And of course, this is also about designing a solution to a particular problem that is being observed. So in developing science investigatory project, you need to be very patient as a teacher, because you'll do a lot of brainstorming and a lot of tinkering solutions, and you really ask the students to think outside the box, because they are to think of a solution to the problem in science. And from the tinkering solution, you construct models, and of course you test this by conducting experiments. So this is going to be a mind challenging strategy, and you need a lot of patience so that students will be able to develop their science investigatory project. So let me just share to you my experience of coaching and the students who develop a science investigatory project. All right. So that was actually the national champion, which I coach, and that investigatory project was actually developed in our class. And there was a lot of brainstorming. We did a lot of failures so that we can come up with, or we can construct with a model, and we can have that invention that will be beneficial to the community. And I hope you future educators can also facilitate the unleashing of the power of scientific minds of the young learners because of this science investigatory project. So let me go back to my slide presentation. All right. So the fourth one is actually strategies that focus on science in social and environmental awareness. So these focus on the society, and of course it has emphasis on the preservation of our environment and looking at what is happening in our environment. So of course what we do here is first we facilitate in our class the structuring of the examination of the issues. Of course, when we examine the issues, we have to make sure that we look at the different dimensions that are affecting the issues about the issues that is related to the science topic that we are discussing. And then the second here is to find and deal with information that we have. So we do a lot of analysis of the information that we have together with our students. We can analyze the information, we can still use in analyzing the information, consequence mapping, or we can ask the students to role play so that they can understand better the issues whenever they have that putting themselves on the role of those who are experiencing the situation. And of course, here we facilitate informed decision making based on the information that was analyzed by the students and come up with a social action to respond to the issue at hand. And values clarification activities can happen so that some of the values can be developed even in science. So this is more of a values integration in science. Um, well, the last one, the fifth classification is the innovative strategies. In our module, there's a lot of innovative strategies that we listed. So what you can probably do is to organize a repertoire or a pedagogical repertoire that includes those strategies. You can select from the list of innovative strategies that we listed in your module and come up with a method containing those strategies in order for you to arrive at your destination, and that is your learning outcome or learning aim. So with that, let me repeat again the different classifications of strategies that we discuss in this video lecture. So we have here practical strategies, strategies which focus on analyzing information, technology and process focus strategies, social and environmental focus strategies, and the last one, innovative strategies. So let me just check this one. So this is innovative strategies. So I will not be discussing individual or one by one the different innovative strategies or the more than 40 innovative strategies because I think what is listed in our module um, are self-explanatory about those strategies. So with that, enjoy your scanning of your module and exploring the different innovative strategies that are listed there. So That's it for this video lecture. Thank you for listening.